Is it somehow fitting that you two sort of get a rubber match, so to say?
Our two teams, you mean?
Yes.
They're a good team, and good teams put themselves in position to make the playoffs, and that's what they've done by having a good season. I mean, you look at who's made the playoffs and who hasn't made the playoffs year after year, and they've made the playoffs almost every season as long as I can remember. So congrats to them on putting themselves in the position that good teams do.
And as even through, before you got here, before you got here and through your first two seasons, you're well aware and reminded of the struggles the Bills have had, and everybody's had against New England until last year. What's changed? And is it simple as Tom Brady not being there because now you've had some success? And do you think there's some reassurance or confidence that builds in knowing you have a track record, a recent track record of success against this team?
I mean, they came in here and beat us, 5 weeks ago now. So that's the reality of our situation. And that's where we're at. This is a good football team. And I don't think you have to look any further than knowing that they beat us here a couple weeks ago.
Thanks, Sean.
Sure.
Hey, Sean, good afternoon. Obviously a lot's being made about how cold it's going to be on Saturday night, or at least it looks like. What can you do to prepare for that? What's the value in making sure you practice outside? Will you practice outside? And can your body, from your experience, players' bodies get used to that temperature during the week if it's going to be cold?
Yeah, that's probably a better sports science question, Matt. I'll handle the first part of your question, which is, will we practice outside? Yeah, we'll do our best. We will do our best to get outside. We've been getting outside a little bit each week, other than last week with the snow removal at the stadium there. So, we'll try and get outside tomorrow if we can.
And then in terms of ball security, we talked about it so much over the course of the season, obviously important. But in addition to that, how important is it, on your playmakers' hands, receivers, tight ends, that they're really putting an emphasis on securing catches in the passing game?
Yeah, you're spot on with that. It's big, in particular when the weather isn't exactly 80 degrees and sunny. So, but it's always big. It's just heightened even more in those situations that you're talking about.
Mm-hmm. And then finally, will Emmanuel Sanders practice today?
Yes, he will.
And he'll be full?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
All right. Good afternoon, Sean. Hope you're well.
You too, Sal.
Yep, I'm trying. I kind of wanted to follow back on, because Matt actually stole some of my thunder there about the weather. I know it's a fact of life up here in Buffalo in the Northeast, but from an athletic standpoint, is it really difficult for these guys to be the true athletes they are? And does that kind of take away from a big game like this, because they can't really play the way we know they can play? Is that part of it, you think?
I don't know. I mean, look, I was never a good athlete, so the weather really never affected me. That's probably a better question for the guys in the locker room, Sal, honestly.
Okay. And then I want to ask you about the pass rush. Look, I know Leslie talked about it. The last 4 games has been great. If you could maybe give us a couple PowerPoints on what do you think has really changed in this last 4 games, why you've gotten so much pressure?
Yeah, I'll just say I think the guys, you're seeing the younger guys grow through the course of the season and understanding with better maybe clarity of what's expected and how we want to do things and make the system theirs, basically. So I think that's a part of it. I think the leadership of a Jerry Hughes, who's moved into, as we know, 4th on the all-time sack list amongst the Bills players, I think is tremendous. That's elite company, and congrats to him on that. And then his leadership, Mario's leadership, and the influence of Eric Washington and Jacques Césaire.
And the last thing on that, just how good is New England's offensive line? That was the one game of the 4 where you didn't get great pressure. Good enough, but not great. How good is that group?
Yeah, they're outstanding. They're well coached. They play well together, which is key for an offensive line. They're tough in their running game. They protect the quarterback when the quarterback drops back to pass. So they do a really good job.
Okay, thanks, Sean.
Yep.
Hey, Sean, it's Jay with the Buffalo News. I asked Brian this yesterday. I wanted to ask you as well. When you are looking to acquire a new player, particularly at receiver, whether that's the draft, free agency, or a trade, you can project physically how their skills might match up with Josh. You can research their football character, their background, all that stuff. But until you really get them in the building, you don't truly know how they're going to mesh with your quarterback. So when it comes to Stefon and what those two guys have been able to do in 2 years together, has it maybe even exceeded what you hoped it would? I mean, they've, caught more balls together than any two quarterbacks and wide receivers in history in their first 2 years together.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you mentioned two really good players, right? In that question. So when those two really good players, or any two good players, can get on the same page like those two have, I think it's fun to watch, right? And usually the results are good. And so I think their best football personally is ahead of them because of the rapport that they continue to build on a daily basis, and the way that those two are developing in their own right. So they've been a great duo for us over the last year and a half, year and 3/4, almost 2 years now.
They seem to be very close on the field and off the field. How important do you think chemistry is in that relationship, in that positional relationship that they have?
Yeah, that's big. It's definitely big and can only help.
Okay. Thanks, Sean.
Hey, Sean, I know you've talked about special teams a few times the last few days with confidence in both Tyler and Matt. But I was curious, with, again, the weather being such a factor, how does that kind of change what you decide to do with them? And also, how far in advance can you decide if that'll change when the forecast can change so much, like even Saturday morning to Saturday night?
Are you saying with respect to those two specifically, or the whole game, or special? I just want to make sure I'm answering your question here.
Just like if you're deciding, we'll punt here, we'll go for it, we'll take a field goal. How much does that change to start, just with weather as a factor in general?
Yeah, weather definitely adds another layer to what you have to think about, preparing for the game, and then also making those in-game decisions for sure.
And I guess also, is that something, how much of that, of like different plans, can you decide on in advance when maybe the weather changes so quickly here, if that makes sense?
Yeah, I mean, again, that's where the preparation, you do the best you can with the information you have, but then when the game's kicked off, sometimes things change and you have to adjust.
And then Matt already asked about kind of what you guys do as a whole to prep for cold weather. Is there anything that kickers and punters can do on top of that to get ready for a really cold game like this?
It's tough duty. It really is. I mean, that ball is not easy to kick or punt, and whether like we had last week or we may have this week. But I love their mental toughness, both of them, and how they approach it. I really do.
Thanks.
Sure.
Hey, Sean, sticking with special teams, just how do you feel Matt Hawk has performed in his first season here, especially in regards to kicking at home?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's done some really good things for our football team, not just punting, but also holding. I mean, you look at the total package and his influence on our football team, and his steady demeanor week to week. And there's plays obviously we all want back. I'm sure he wants some of those back. And I love the fact that he's a resilient competitor, and I can't wait to watch him moving forward as we move here. So that's really where we're at.
And I apologize if you have already answered this in the past couple of weeks, but you brought in Jamie Gillian onto the practice squad. What was the thought process behind that?
Just probably a better question for Brandon overall specifically. But Jamie is a guy that's, he's punted in this league and has done a good job. And anytime we can, look to improve our football team, we're going to do that at every position, not just punter, but at all positions.
Great. Thanks, Sean.
Yeah.
Coach McDermott, Mookie Hawkins, Waffle Sports 1080. Good afternoon, sir.
Hi, Mookie.
I know this is a question for Mr. Bean, but Shaq Lawson got released. What are your thoughts on potentially bringing Shaq back?
Oh, Shaq. We're always looking. Shaq's always a guy that's high on my list. He brought a lot of value to our organization when he was here. Always had great energy, and so it's great when we can connect when we've played in the last year or so. But we're always looking to improve our team every way we can.
Coach, I know, I don't know if anybody asked this, but today's the anniversary, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
Yeah, I've heard about that. Pretty clever.
Yeah, so just care to tell us about that entire process on, today marks is the 5th year that you was named Buffalo Bills head coach. So if you could just kind of reflect on that to, that process and just how it is going for you right now.
Yeah, I'm blessed and highly favored to be here. That's how I feel about it. Grateful to be a part of this organization. Grateful for the chance that Kim and Terry gave me and my family to come to Buffalo. And that's really kind of where we're at there. But just one piece of the puzzle here.
Absolutely, Coach. I know that you got that nice puzzle getting ready for this playoffs. Happy anniversary and good luck this week.
All right, thanks. Take care, everybody. Have a good week. Thanks, guys.